Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly Kane, and I'm the Marketing Manager for Wonderware NorCal. Thank you for attending our webinar today, How to Plan Your SCADA Upgrade. After the webinar this morning, we will be doing a short Q&A. Please type any questions or comments into the Q&A box, the chat box, or email us at webinar@norcal.wonderware.com. Now I'd like to introduce your presenter for today's webinar, Mike Lapitan. Mike is an automation industry expert and has been a Wonderware NorCal product specialist for the past 8 years. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, good morning, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our webinar on how to plan your SCADA upgrade. As Kelly mentioned, I'm a product specialist here at Wonderware NorCal, so I get to go out and visit the customers here in Northern California that use Wonderware, and I've been in many, many plants, and I've seen a lot of applications that date back 20 years plus, running on Windows 95, Windows NT, and the customers always ask, how do I upgrade SCADA? And so what we want to talk about today is how to take advantage of everything that Wonderware has to offer in the modern day. So we're going to start with a Wonderware NorCal intro, and we'll talk about customer first support, which is really the best way to stay current with Wonderware software. And we'll talk about our local training and workshops. I'll talk about how to plan your SCADA upgrade. So we're going to talk about how to modernize InTouch. We've got a lot of requests on remote access and mobile access for SCADA. So we're going to talk about that, as well as data redundancy, as folks are relying more and more on the data they're collecting for regulatory reporting and production reporting and operational trending. So how do I incorporate redundancy into my system? We'll talk about alarm management, because a lot of folks, they've not maintained their alarming system over time, and they've ended up in a situation where alarms just become nuisance alarms and they get ignored, so how to clean that up. We'll talk about how to leverage the cloud. So as we're moving into the modern day here with our SCADA systems, how do we take advantage of cloud technologies, and what are the benefits, and how can it help? So we'll do demos on some of these things, and then we'll also talk about virtualization considerations. Virtualization is really kind of taking over the IT world, and so in the SCADA marketplace, we are seeing a major adoption with virtualization technologies as well. So we'll talk about what virtualization means, what are some benefits, what are some considerations, and how we can help. So Wonderware Today is used in 1/3 of the world's plants and facilities of 20 or more people, so that equates to around 200,000 locations. We're the #1 market leader for industrial automation SCADA software, and we've been around since 1987, so we're the first Windows-based HMI SCADA software in the marketplace, and that we have a great reputation for being the easiest to use, being the lowest risk, being the most reliable, and we have a large system integrator partner channel to support you, as well as local technical support. And Wonderware allows you to start small, running on a single computer, maybe interfacing with a single piece of equipment, and that same software can scale to enterprise-level SCADA. So you don't ever get stuck in a box with Wonderware and not able to grow in the direction that your business requires. So we really have the openness and the flexibility to grow with your business over time. So Wonderware NorCal has been the local Wonderware distributor since 1992, when we provide local training out of San Francisco, and Wonderware development headquarters is in Southern California in Lake Forest, California. We can provide training on site at your location, as well as virtual instructor-led training. We offer free workshops out of our San Francisco office. That's a great way to get introduced to current Wonderware technologies, how to take advantage of the latest and greatest. We have recorded webinars and videos on our website and our YouTube channel. We have some how-to videos, and we have dedicated phone technical support here in Northern California, folks that have been with us a very long time and know the products very well, and we get great feedback in the field from our customers regarding our technical support and the knowledge and responsiveness of our support. So that's a very big, it's very important for our customers that they can get their questions answered in a timely manner when they need it. So we provide system consulting, so we can help you evaluate your options for upgrading. things that are important to you. We can show you the solutions and point you in the right direction on how to get those solutions implemented cost effectively. And here in Northern California, we have over 70 registered system integrator partners. So those are registered Wonderware integrators that can also help you with upgrades if you need some help. So Wonderware has a great reputation, the only in the market to be able to migrate your application dating back to 1987 to now running on Windows 10 without having to rebuild that application. So Wonderware invests tremendously in making sure that your application moves forward with you over time, regardless of a change in a Windows operating system. So that one-click upgrade in terms of taking your existing InTouch application, opening it up in Window Maker on a current version of Wonderware without having to reprogram, re-engineer your InTouch application. We've been able to do that for over 25 years. So that's something our customers are always pleasantly surprised to find out when they come to us and they say, hey, I've got an InTouch application that dates back 20 years, I probably need to rebuild, I probably need to buy a new license, and that's not the case. We can upgrade your existing license, it still has value, and that application can move forward with you over time. So what we'll talk about today is, instead of just doing a straight upgrade and keeping your application the same, how can I add to my existing application so that I get more out of it, so it becomes more effective for my operators? So that investment of protection really starts with Wonderware Customer First, and that's our support for our software, and it also gives you access to phone technical support. So with Customer First support, you get free software upgrades. So again, for our customers that are looking to upgrade, if they've maintained a Customer First support contract, it's of no additional cost to them to get the free version upgrades for all of their existing licenses. So again, it just makes that upgrade project, it makes it much more easier for our customers, so they don't have to go and get budget for license upgrades. It's just included as part of their annual support agreement. And what it also does is it encourages you to get the most out of your investment in terms of taking advantage of everything that Wonderware offers. There's new development and updates happening all the time. Every year we have a release that adds new capabilities, more reliability, and in order to take advantage of those new features, it's nice to be able to have those available for free whenever you request them. If you do not have Wonderware Customer First support, we offer version upgrade discounts and modernization discounts to really encourage folks to upgrade, maintain your existing investment, move forward, and then get the most out of what the latest and greatest Wonderware has to offer. And we also do offer competitive trading credits. If you have a competitive HMI or SCADA system that's legacy, we run into this all the time. A lot of times we see SCADA software applications that don't necessarily upgrade cleanly, that it requires some engineering effort, or sometimes SCADA software products, they come and go, and there is no upgrade path. The support goes away. The support's not good. There's no future support. The product is end of life, and so we can actually provide you discounts and trading credits for your existing licenses. This is an example of our local training schedule this year out of San Francisco. So we offer InTouch. If you're an InTouch customer, I would start with InTouch 2014 R2. That training class shows you how to take advantage of all the latest and greatest graphics inside of InTouch, as well as the other new capabilities and features. If you're a system platform customer, then you would want to start with the application server training class. That's a 4-day class, and that is all about using the development environment to build a plant model and do the data collection configuration, the alarming, the logic and scripting and security. And then if you want to move on to the front-end HMI visualization training class, that would be InTouch for System Platform, and that's where we focus on building screens and operator displays. And finally, we have Historian Server and Historian Client training. So for those folks that are really interested in the historian and the reporting end of a training class, the Historian Server is a 2-day class that's more on administration administrator management side of the historian, and then we have a one-day historian client class which just focuses on trending, Excel reporting, and doing SQL queries. So those are all really great classes. We've got a really nice training facility in San Francisco that's recently been updated, and we have a training instructor that's very knowledgeable and gets great reviews. Our local workshop schedule is our free classes that allow you to come to our training facility and get hands-on with the software. In fact, we just finished 2 days of workshops this week. Wednesday and Thursday we did system platform development. And so these are hands-on, basically introductory classes. What does it mean to get your hands on the software and do some development, get a vision of how it can work in your facility? And it's really a great starting point for a lot of our customers to get some enthusiasm on how automation and current modern SCADA systems can benefit your organization. So system platform is definitely a very popular workshop, and we'll have our plant reporting workshop in March. That's our next one coming up. You can register at norcal.wonderware.com. If you're an existing InTouch customer and you want to maintain your InTouch application and take advantage of the latest and greatest, I'd recommend coming to the InTouch and Orchestra Graphics hands-on workshop. It's another great workshop we have, very popular. Okay, so if we take a step back and look at the evolution of HMI in the marketplace in the current state, in the 1970s we had alarm panels, relay logic. In the 1980s we were moving into DOS-based systems. In the 2000s we were really running on Windows-based platforms and starting to get pretty creative with graphics in terms of representing our plant equipment and showing pretty pictures on the screen, cartoons on the screen. And as we've taken consideration into folks that have written best practices and books around building effective operator displays, we're now moving into the future of what has sometimes been coined as a high-performance HMI. And so when we take a step back again and we think about what is the purpose of an HMI, it's really three or four things: to help an operator run the plant safely, reliably, and efficiently. Okay, so what does that mean? We want to run the plant safely. Obviously, we want to protect our employees, our staff, our community. We want to make sure that there's nothing putting our staff in danger. We want to make sure that we're producing high-quality products that aren't putting the general public at risk. So we're making our products within specification and compliance. We want to run our plant reliably. That means that when we're planned to be running, we want to make sure we're running. We want to get the most out of our assets and our equipment. So we're running when we're planned to be running. We don't have unplanned downtime, and then that we're running efficiently so that when our plant is running, we're getting the most out of it in terms of our capacity, in terms of our performance, that we're running at our target rates, and we're running optimally. And that's really where Wonderware comes into play to get the most efficiency and the most benefit out of your existing equipment. It really requires some better monitoring, some better analysis, some better reporting, some visualization of key performance indicators to make sure that we're continuing to get the most out of our existing assets. So it's time for greater situational awareness. Situational awareness is a term that's been around a long time before even HMIs. So you'll hear that term in law enforcement or even in folks that are pilots flying planes. It's all about being aware of your surroundings. So although we have Orchestra Graphics with Wonderware, and those were new maybe 5-6 years ago, and they're very pretty, and they look great, and we have customers that have built some really amazing screens with Orchestra Graphics that represent their equipment and their processes, and that's important to some customers to be able to have an operator look at a screen and have it really reflect what that might look like in real life. But now we've added situational awareness graphics, and these are more KPI dashboard graphics to kind of look at an overall plant health, system health of our system. And there are real-world benefits. The studies that have been done to show the the result of implementing a high-performance HMI or situational awareness type HMI. So making it much more easy to detect abnormal situations to prevent process upsets, making it much faster and easier to respond and handle abnormal situations. So the whole point of situational awareness graphics are to prevent process upsets, prevent unplanned downtime, again, run the plant safely, efficiently, and reliably. So we've built these graphics into our library now. These are available to you as a Wonderware customer, and you don't have to go build them from scratch. In the past, we had customers that paid a lot of money to have programmers build these graphics for them, and now we offer them to you out of the box, and there's literally thousands and tens of thousands of combinations of these situational awareness graphics using our wizards to build the graphics that you need for your screens. And these are all available right inside of Window Maker. So you don't have to learn a new environment. This is right inside of the same Window Maker environment that we've had dating back to the late 80s. So if you install the current version of InTouch, you can get the Orchestra graphic toolbox with the situational awareness graphics built right inside of the development environment that you've always worked with. So again, just maintaining that ease of use and getting the most out of your investment. We use this situational awareness and Orchestra graphics both in our workshops and our training now. Here's some examples of some situational awareness symbol usage. So you can see they're not necessarily representing physical equipment all the time. It's putting more context in front of the operator so they don't have to intuitively know or know from years of experience and training, well, what's my current value and how does that compare to my set point, and how far off is that from set point, and how far can I get off set point before it's actually a problem I need to respond to. So you can see an alarm border here as my current value gets into a alarm state. Right now I'm in a critical alarm. I've got a red alarm border, so I can see over on the right-hand side where the orange bar is. That might be my set point. So I can see I'm in a low type of threshold. I get an alarm border. I can see some lightweight trends. These are called trend pens, a new capability inside of Wonderware that allows you to incorporate lots of lightweight trends so operators can get context of what's been happening over time, not just what's the current value and what direction am I trending. Am I trending back into control or out of control? So we can apply these trend pens to our situational awareness meters. So meters can be level meters, pressure, temperature meters, for example. So you can see, not just what the current value is, where is that in relation to my scale, and what's it been doing over time, what direction am I heading. Moving on to remote access. We'll be doing a demo on the situational awareness and the remote access here in just a moment. We get a lot of requests now for mobility. Can Wonderware run on a web page? How do I get Wonderware on an iPad? How do I get Wonderware on my Android phone? How do I make it easy for people to access my SCADA system, maybe in a read-only environment or in a read-write environment where I actually want to change a set point, turn something on or off? So with InTouch AccessAnywhere, we allow you to use any web browser from any device that supports HTML5, and all current web browsers support HTML5. So whether you're using Safari on an Apple device or Google Chrome, maybe on an Android device, Internet Explorer or Firefox on your desktop, you can go to a web page and access your Wonderware SCADA system today without rebuilding, re-engineering, publishing your application. It's your application as it is today, running from within a web browser. And I'll show you an example of this. People ask about the security. How do I secure my mobile access to my SCADA system or my remote access to my SCADA system? Traditional IT best practices is to use a VPN, a virtual private network, to access your network that is running your SCADA system. So we certainly recommend using a VPN, and we can help with that. I'll talk about that later with our IT services. But on top of a VPN, or maybe even without a VPN, we also offer what's called our secure gateway. So if you look in the middle here in what's called a DMZ, a demilitarized zone, this This would be a network that's separate from your HMI SCADA network that someone who wants to access SCADA has to authenticate against. They have to log into a web page that is separate from SCADA. Once they authenticate against the web page in the DMZ, which we call the secure gateway, it then grants them permission to run the HMI application running on your SCADA network. Okay, so it's an added layer of security to make sure that people aren't accessing the SCADA system directly to put in their passwords, because that means you've exposed your SCADA control network to the outside world. And so we want to make sure that people authenticate before they actually log into the SCADA control network. So let's do a quick demo here on InTouch AccessAnywhere, which is the web access of InTouch, and then we'll show you the current orchestra graphics, the situational awareness graphics, alarm borders, and alarm displays. Okay, so I'm just in Internet Explorer here today, and I'm going to go ahead and go to a web page for my InTouch AccessAnywhere. This could be hitting that secure gateway web page where I put in my username and my password, and I can select the InTouch application I want to connect to, and I'll click Connect. And you can see here it's actually starting up Window Viewer right inside of Internet Explorer. And the beauty of this is that I didn't have to install anything on my computer here. I could do this from my phone. This is a public website that you can access today on your own by going to intouchaccessanywhere.com. And then once you get to that web page, click on the Workstation button. You'll see the username and password on that landing page as well. The username is Mobile1 with a capital M, and the password is Wonderware1 with a capital W. So here is what we call a high-level overview display that's kind of looking at the overall health of my plant, the status of my plant. So when we talk about doing SCADA upgrades, we're really encouraging customers to try to, consider if you were to build your HMI application today, how might you build it differently? And when you read the HMI High Performance Handbook, they talk about having a high-level overview display that lets you take a glance at the overall health of your plant. And in this case, I don't have a lot of color, and this is completely up to you. And Wonderware has what are called styles, style libraries that you can kind of change the default colors you want to use for your graphics. And in this case, this is just a very gray style library, but it can be changed on the fly. And I don't have any alarms right now, so that's a good thing. Otherwise, I'd see alarm borders show up. But basically, I've got 4 filters here, and I'm looking at my hourly turbidity. I can see that everything's running right on set point, so everything looks good. So I know that there's no abnormal conditions happening right now, except for maybe over here in my operational sample area. So I can see I've got a red diamond here, and that's a critical alarm. So if I clicked on that operational sample here, and look, I've got an alarm here, a critical alarm over on my transfer system area here. And so this makes it very intuitive by limiting the use of color to alert an operator that there's an abnormal situation they need to respond to. So again, it doesn't take months and years of training for an operator to know where to click and where to find problems. Using alarm borders and high-performance HMI concepts, it makes it very easy for anybody to walk up to a screen and see where there might be a situation they need to respond to. And then what they could do is then drill down into the alarm if they wanted to see the alarm display, get more information on what the alarm is coming from, where it's coming from, sort by the criticality of alarms, sort by area in your plant, so I can sort by multiple areas to see the alarms in certain areas. I can acknowledge those alarms. I can shelve alarms. Shelving alarms means putting them on snooze. If I know that there's some maintenance going on that piece of equipment, I can say, let's shelve it for 4 hours because we're putting it in maintenance, and then that alarm will automatically activate after 4 hours. I don't have to remember to come back and enable that alarm again. So it really helps with getting rid of those nuisance alarms. Let's drill down into our filter 100. So this is kind of going into our level 2 display. We're in our level 1 overview display looking at all 4 filters. Now I'm looking at a specific filter, filter 100. And this is more of, again, a situational awareness type display. I have what's called a polar plot here, where a perfect triangle would mean I'm right on set point. I can see my turbidity is starting to get off set point here. So I can see, again, I'm starting to get a little bit of a low turbidity here. So it just provides that more context for an operator to not have to know from memory or training, how does my current value relate to my set point, and how far off set point is a bad situation. So I can just see that, hey, turbidity is starting to get into an abnormal situation. I can see all my tank levels, my target areas, and what they've been doing over time. So I have those trend pens here. And then I can drill down into then my level 3 display, which might be my equipment level display, or I might have some operational control. I can turn things on and off and change set points and pull up some additional trending. So you can have the best of both worlds. You can have the pretty graphics that represent the actual equipment. You know, they look very appealing, but then you know, the level 1 or level 2 displays might be more of a dashboard display where you really limit the use of color. Just some other example dashboard graphics here. We have a capability now in Wonderware to do history metrics. So right now I'm looking at the last 8 hours. I'm looking at the what's my OEE been over the last 8 hours. And so that might be taking an average. I could also do a hourly flow or daily flow, what was the minimum, the maximum in that time period, the first value, the last value, the running time, the not running time. So this would be my running time, you know, over the last 8 hours, opposed to compared to my not running time. So notice I have all these other KPI trends here. So I've got probably 30 of these trends on my screen, and they're very lightweight. I can use them as much as I'd like, and they don't take up a lot of system resources. Even though they get the data right from my Wonderware historian, I can put lots of them in here, and they don't take up a lot of space. They don't take up a lot of memory and CPU, but it gives me more context of what's been happening over time. Just a few other dashboards here. Again, more polar plots, bullet charts, loss gain charts, pie graphs, and there's an alarm border here. So the alarm management that's built into Wonderware now is very sophisticated, leverages best practices for alarming, and so you can get this capability out of the box. So remember, this is all through a web page, and this server is just a web page I went to. It's a public web page. I literally don't know where this server is located, and it doesn't matter. I don't need to know where it is. I just need to know the web page address to go to. All right. Next thing I wanted to talk about is data redundancy. As I mentioned, as folks are more and more relying on their process history, whether it's for real-time operational trending or for reporting purposes. People need access to their data. They don't want to have gaps in their data because they took a historian server down to do a hardware upgrade or to do an update, to do some maintenance, or there was a power outage. And so what our data redundancy does is store and forward. If the historian ever goes offline, we can continue to buffer and store that data on a different computer, a different operating system, and once the historian comes back online, you can see right now the network might have been down between this computer and the historian. It continues to collect and store the data, and once it comes back online, it backfills it automatically. So I don't have any gaps in my data. When I go to do my monthly report, I don't have to explain why we didn't have data on a certain day because we were doing, we had a power outage, we had a server down, for example. We also have redundant retrieval, which means that those engines that provide the store and forward data to the historian, those engines can be made redundant so that there's no single point of failure. And those engines can store and forward the data to two historians. We call partner historians. And so the beauty of that is for operational trending, if I'm trending off my primary historian and for some reason I lose the connection to my primary historian, the trend will automatically fail over to my partner historian, and it requires no operator intervention. So again, just being able to run seamlessly in the event of a down situation, not requiring the operator to have to know what a procedure is to get up and running on a backup server. It just happens automatically. So that's with what we call redundant historians or partner historians. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about alarm management. Alarm management is something that is very common that plants struggle with. It's all too often that we hear from customers that we just have so many alarms, our operators can't deal with them, and so really they get ignored, and that's not uncommon. So what Wonderware has is called Alarm Advisor. And it allows you to get rid of your nuisance alarms. It allows you to clean up your alarming system. It's too easy to create too many alarms that don't require operator action. And so the problem is when you have alarms that don't require operator action is the important ones get missed. And when important alarms get missed, it costs us money. It costs us downtime. There's incidents, and that's what we really want to avoid. That's again the whole value of remember, SCADA systems, HMI applications, is to run our plants safely and reliably and efficiently. So we want to prevent those process upsets, get in front of them, and react to them before they become a real problem. So Wonderware Alarm Advisor is a web-based tool for discovering nuisance alarms in your process, and I'm going to show you a demo of this here. But first I'm going to talk about Wonderware Online. And Wonderware Online is a cloud version of our Historian. So again, as industry is moving to virtualization, as industry is moving towards the cloud, Wonderware is keeping pace and continuing to invest year after year in making sure that we're staying current with technology and not leaving anyone behind. So if you don't have a Historian, we can take your existing InTouch installation and we can push that data directly to the cloud securely so that anybody can go access that information that you give access to right from any web browser. And I'll show you a demo of this here as well. And then you can download that information to Excel. You can share it with your mobile device. You can set up alerts to get alarms. And this all happens without you having to involve getting a computer or a server to store this data on, to have to maintain and back up that data and make sure it's available, all the things that go along with maintaining computers and servers these days. This is a view of the mobile app that comes with Wonderware Online. You can download it today from the App Store. Doesn't matter what device you have, and it's called Smart Glance, and it's a free download to try. You can click on the free demo button once you download the app, and what it allows you to do is see your live data, your historical data, trends, and get alerts. So you can set your own alerts right on your device to say, when I reach this threshold, when I exceed this threshold, send me a notification, just like you get a text message or a voicemail. You can get a notification on your phone that alerts you to say that you've exceeded this threshold that you've set up. So you don't have to involve IT, you don't have to involve your developer. You can set your own alerts right from your device. So let's take a look at this online. So again, these are public web pages. I'm going to first go to Wonderware Online. So this is online.wonderware.com. You can go to this web page as well, online.wonderware.com. And so what I see here are some suggested dashboards. And so if I wanted to drill down into one of these dashboards here, maybe I'll go look at this one right here. I'll go ahead and click on it. And so these are my kind of home page dashboards, and so I can see some, in this case, the current value, some trends, what's been happening today, and then what direction is that trend heading. And so I can customize what time period do I want to look at. Do I want to look at today, yesterday, the last 7 days, the last 30 days, or I can do a custom time period where I can pick the specific start date and end date that I like. And so if I see something that looks interesting here, I can go ahead and drill down into it. So I can click on it and see, hey, here's my temperature over the course of the day, and I want to look at just that in a trend. So I'll drill down into it, and now I can see my temperature over the course of the day, what's been happening. And if I want to share that information, I can send a link to somebody. I can embed this web page in my my company intranet web page, SharePoint. I could download this information to Excel. I can share it to my mobile device, so I can send this report to my mobile device in Smart Glance, what I was just showing, or I can save it as a dashboard that I like. Okay, so what if there's other tags I want to look for? Maybe I want to just browse for my flow tags. I'll go ahead and type in flow, and let's see what I have. So I've got 22 tags that have flow in the description. I have 22 tags that have flow in the tag name, and so maybe I'll just go ahead and add all of my flow tags here. So there's going to be quite a bit. And so here they are. There's all my flow tags. So now I have the ability to select which ones I want to display. So I can see the description of those tags over here on the right-hand side, and I could just add the ones that I'd like to see and remove the ones I don't want to see. Okay, so that's called Wonderware Online, and so this is the historian in a hosted subscription. It's running in a Microsoft data center called Azure, so it's very secure and protected. It's not your responsibility to make sure this data is backed up and it's secure and it's available. That's handled by Microsoft and Wonderware. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to Alarm Advisor. And Alarm Advisor is the tool to do alarm analysis against your alarm database. And this will help you clean up your alarming system if you have lots of nuisance alarms and noise alarms. So what I have here is my top 10 frequent alarms. So I can, if I mouse over this, this is my #1 offender. I've got my R31.react temp alarm has happened 18,000 times over the last 3 months. So I might want to take a look at that in my SCADA system and see, well, what are the alarm limits and why is it getting ignored? Do I need to set some time dead bands or change the alarm limits so I don't get this alarm that often? Or is it an actual problem in my process? Do I really, is this a real alarm that's happening that often? Well, we need to take a closer look at that process, and it helps you decide where to prioritize your time and your engineering and maintenance efforts to focus on improving not only your alarming system, but also the physical process that's generating these alarms. So we can also show you your standing alarms. Standing alarms are alarms that are getting ignored, basically, that aren't getting acknowledged. And by default, we just say if an alarm has been on and not acknowledged for more than 15 minutes, it's a standing alarm. So I can see my alarms that are getting ignored. I can see fleeting alarms, which are alarms that go into alarm and then in this case, in 15 seconds, go back to normal without being acknowledged. So this is definitely alarms that are just causing noise, and you probably need to change some alarm limits or alarm dead bands so that you're not throttling or thrashing in and out of alarm constantly. Okay, so this is also a public web page, alarmadvisor.com. You can go here. It's a web-based tool. Once you have Alarm Advisor installed, any number of people can go onto the web page to do their alarm analysis, and it works natively with your existing Wonderware alarm database. All right, so let's talk real briefly about virtualization and motivators from virtualization and why some folks have been reluctant to move to virtualization. So what are the benefits, first off, and then we'll talk about what is virtualization, show some examples. So virtualization motivators include cost reduction in terms of consolidating physical machines to give you a high return on capital investment, so you have less physical equipment to maintain and you get more out of your existing equipment. You can deploy generally faster. You can create VMs faster compared to building up physical machines and servers. There's benefits in the management side in terms of creating high availability or redundancy amongst servers. Also, disaster recovery and fault tolerance are other terms for creating redundancy or being able to recover quickly if you have a down event. Centralized management, so you have a single place to go to manage your entire system, your whole enterprise. Instead of having multiple servers, physical servers you have to maintain and log into, you can log in one central place, or if you have redundant servers, you can manage all of those servers from a central location. And from an IT standpoint, it reduces IT maintenance and costs. You can easily create snapshots, which are backups of your operating system, so that if you ever did have an operating system issue, you can always roll back to a previous good snapshot very easily. And it also promotes the use of thin clients, which basically could be anything. It could be a Linux-based client. It could be a iPad, could be even a workstation, but you don't have to install software on the individual workstations anymore. Everything just accesses the server. So again, you're only maintaining software on the server side and not on the client side. So some common barriers to virtualization is that there is some upfront cost of having to, if you're going to have external storage called a SAN or storage area network, there's some upfront cost to have to invest in a SAN. And adoption takes time like anything. There's a new learning curve. A lot of times folks don't have the IT department or IT resources and support to implement a virtualization environment and virtual servers. Virtual servers take more resources in terms of if you're going to run multiple operating systems on a server. You want to make sure you have enough RAM and CPU resources on that physical machine to handle multiple operating systems. So those are some of the barriers. Just to kind of take a look at, what is consolidation of hardware look like? Well, maybe in a more larger implementation of Wonderware that has more load balancing and redundancy and spreading out of software for easier maintenance, you might have 3 object servers that are responsible for doing the data collection from the PLCs and doing the alarming and providing the data to the HMI. You might have a terminal server that the thin clients or workstations are accessing for their HMI. You might have a reporting portal and your historian database, and your development database, your configuration database. So instead of having, in this case, 6 physical servers with 4 or more workstations, you can consolidate that to everything running on a single physical server, and then everything else becomes a thin client. So whether it's a laptop or a true thin client or remote access with a phone or a tablet, you don't have to install anything on the client side. Everything is installed on the server side, and the clients basically just do remote desktop or access applications via a web page to access applications running on the server. So what about adding redundancy? So we don't have a single point of failure. So if we don't have that single physical box fail, well then those 7 machines that we consolidated to a single physical machine and is now a single point of failure. So adding redundancy or high availability, HA for short, helps you prevent server downtime, which is unavoidable for a single physical box. A single physical box is eventually going to go down, whether it's for planned maintenance, and that's oftentimes more often than unplanned nowadays, so that you need to plan to take a server down to do upgrades, whether it's a software update, or for the operating system or for the SCADA software, or you're doing hardware upgrades, or you're replacing old hardware, or you're adding more memory, so on. If you have an accident or a power failure, the servers are going to go down eventually. So the benefits of high availability is that you have a backup server that can continue to run your operations and your software. So when we talk about the 5 nines of availability, that equates to 5 minutes of downtime per year. Now, to get 5 nines, you need to go to a fault-tolerant type solution, which we offer. But if you want high availability, you can still get, very high uptime and minimize downtime. So high availability requires a second physical server. So now we've got 2 physical servers, right? It's still less than the 7 we had previously. So we've got our 7 operating systems running on each server. And so if one physical server goes down, they can continue to run on a backup server. And the way that's able to happen is with that SAN I mentioned earlier, that storage area network. So both the physical servers share a storage area network. It's a storage array, and both these servers can access basically the same operating systems, the same virtual machines that are running on the storage area array. And these have redundant drives as well, so there's redundancy built into the SAN. So to take the risk out of your virtualization project, we can provide those servers pre-installed, configured, and tested with VMware or Hyper-V, which are the virtualization platforms. And we can build the virtual machines that include the Microsoft operating system, the Wonderware software, if it's going to be a terminal server, if you need a domain controller for security. We can configure high availability, so the redundancy between two physical virtual servers. And we take the risk out of your virtualization project by testing it in-house and delivering it to you pre-tested and documented of how the system was built, how to maintain it, how to back it up, and provide the support for it. So we can provide the storage area network arrays, SANs, the UPSs, the racks, the networking hardware, and the design and documentation. So we do this on a daily basis. This is our expertise. We have a dedicated IT department that only does IT services for our customers to run the software that we provide on high availability hardware that we stand behind, that we're going to support and recommend and say, this is going to work, and so we deliver that solution to you. And we can even include VPN firewalls for that remote access. We can provide workstations and non-virtualized servers if you're not ready to move to a virtualized server, or if you're not, you don't have an application that would warrant virtualization. You don't have multiple computers that you need to consolidate. If your application is only a single computer and you don't plan to grow in the foreseeable future, or maybe you just don't have the budget to grow, we can provide just a single server non-virtualized. But we make sure to include RAID, which would be redundant hard drive, so again, you don't have a single point of failure because of a hard drive failure. We even provide tablets if you need remote access with a tablet and you want to log in with InTouch AccessAnywhere using an iPad. We can provide a server and a VPN and a tablet, all pre-built and connected and tested with documentation. And here's some example documentation that we've done for customers, providing diagrams and addresses and how-tos on how to set up and support and install and back up and restore the systems, and cabling diagrams as well. So in summary, I'd like to thank you for joining us for our How to Plan Your SCADA Upgrade summary. We talked about customer first support to future-proof your SCADA system. We talked about how to get educated with local training and workshops. We've talked about how to modernize your InTouch application with situational awareness graphics and leverage high-performance HMI concepts, how to access your SCADA system remotely, securely via a web page, and capabilities for story and data redundancy and cleaning up your alarming system, getting rid of nuisance alarms, how to leverage the cloud for historical data access and reporting, how to get that data right on your phone using smart clamps and get alarm notifications on your phone, and whether or not to virtualize, and how to take the risk and out of your virtualization project and provide a solution that's backed up from Wonderware. So do we have any questions in the chat? I don't know if we mentioned there's a chat panel in WebEx there. You can feel free to type in any questions you have.
Yeah, Mike, we do have a few questions that come in. This one came in kind of early, so it was before your Wonderware Online demo, and but does this work on an iPad? So you may have answered that already, but if you want to clarify
absolutely. So there's two different ways that we can you can access Wonderware from an iPad. One would be through a web page using InTouch AccessAnywhere. So that would just be using the native browser on the iPad, using Safari to go to a web page and accessing InTouch. And for security, you could either use the InTouch AccessAnywhere gateway, where you're logging into the DMZ first, or you could also have a VPN set up where you're getting on your SCADA network securely by authenticating against a VPN, which is a virtual private network. And the iPad has the capability of connecting to a VPN appliance that you would have sitting next to your server. or you could use the VPN client that comes with your VPN appliance. For example, from Cisco, there's a VPN client called AnyConnect. That's the one I use. Another way to access your SCADA system in Wonderware from your iPad would be through a remote desktop app. And so, for example, Microsoft has a free app called RD Client, Remote Desktop Client, and that allows you to do remote desktop to your server to access InTouch. And that's going to give you an independent session to run InTouch without having to share the session with another person where you're fighting over which screen to look at and the mouse control. So there are other solutions out there, but typically they require you to share a desktop with a logged-in user, where you kind of end up fighting over which screen to see and where the mouse, fighting over mouse control. So there are other solutions such as VNC that allow you to share desktops but not get your own session.
Okay. The next one is, can Wonderware's latest version support my old PCs?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Wonderware has been around so long through so many operating systems that we do have official support for, any given version of InTouch, what operating systems those support. Just so, for example, the current version of Wonderware we refer to as 2014 R2, and we support Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Server 2008 R2, and Server 2012. And Server 2012 R2. So, depending on the version of InTouch you have, there's going to be a specific list of operating systems that version has been tested on and is supported on. So, if you would like to ask us, what operating systems does my InTouch version support? We would just need to know what version of InTouch you have, because just over 25 years, there's, probably 15 different versions of InTouch over the years. So you can always email us, webinar@norcal.wonderware.com, or call us and let us know what specific version of InTouch you have. If you don't know, we can help you find out. We can point you in the right direction.
Okay. We have an outdated and no longer supported SCADA system different than Wonderware. Can Wonderware import and store my historical data?
Okay, that's a good question. So the answer is, what kind of format can we get that data out from your existing SCADA system or your existing historian? So if you can get that data out into a CSV file or Excel file, then we can import that data into the Wonderware historian. Just in some cases, depending on the HMI, as long as it's not proprietary, if it's not in a, as long as you can get the data out, into a format such as CSV or Excel, even if it was an XML, we could import that into our historian. So the answer is yes. If you have existing data, we can generally put that into the historian.
Okay. One person mentions review the websites to access pre-configured sample InTouch Anywhere and Smart Glance. I think he's just asking for the website again.
Oh, sure. Yep. So for the InTouch AccessAnywhere website, that's InTouchAccessAnywhere.com, and the website for the Wonderware Online is online.wonderware.com, and the website for Alarm Advisor was alarmadvisor.com. And
then for Smart Glance, that's just the
yes,
in the
Smart
App
Glance
Store.
is in the App Store. Whether you have Apple or Google or Android, you can just go to Smart Glance, all one word, and it's by Schneider Electric, and download that.
All right. And then can Dream Reports or other reporting software work with the cloud-based historian or virtual historian if you don't want to have a physical historian server?
That's a good question. So Dream Reports is a reporting tool that we have, and we're actually doing the workshop on it in March. Currently, Dream Reports has the capability of actually working against the alarming in the online historian. So if you're logging alarms to Wonderware Online, you can pull alarms into Dream Reports. The current version of Dream Reports doesn't officially support working against the data in Wonderware Online, but I suspect that that is coming down the line. And we also have other capabilities to do custom reporting from Wonderware Online that we can show you and talk about. So Wonderware Online uses what's called OData, and so there are tools that support OData such as Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Power BI Business Intelligence. So there's other reporting tools that do support the Wonderware Online data store.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. I think that wraps up the questions. So this webinar has been recorded, so it will be posted to our website this afternoon if you want to review it again or share it with any colleagues. If you have any questions, be sure to email us at webinar@norcal.wonderware.com, and we can get back to you on those. And I think that wraps it up. So thanks, Mike, and thanks, everyone, for attending, and have a good weekend. Thanks.